you're mentioning Rancho Izaguirre as a reason for the Mexican government to ask for help in terms of tackling the narco crisis. The Mexican federal government, well, actually, the Fiscalia of Jalisco, which is like this crossover of justice and the Attorney General's office in the United States, for example, right? Like that's kind of how the Fiscalia works in Mexico, was there with the National Guard before we ever heard about this, months before. I think they were there in like September. They uncovered that camp. They were on an operation to release some kidnapping victims and arrest some members of organized crime. There was no press release, no further investigation. Nobody looked into the personal belongings that were there. The ovens used to burn people that were underground, like these clandestine extermination ovens. Nobody knew about this until the vigilante group that they're being called now, which is groups of mothers whose children have gone missing in Mexico, because we all know this, right? Mexico has a disappeared persons problem, right? These mothers get tipped off by God knows who to go to this random ranch 58 kilometers outside of Guadalajara in Jalisco. They go there, they find two fucking ovens that are built into the ground that CJNG was using to kill people, to exterminate people, and typically people that were not being recruited into CJNG. It was just kidnapping victims or people who were looking for jobs. I mean, at least that's what the investigation says. And so you're asking me, they discovered this camp. Wouldn't they ask for help? They didn't even fucking publish it in the first place. How would you ever expect a government who hides something so devastating to ever ask for help to solve it?
That's the problem, right? That the own government is covering it up. And that's at what, man, it's interesting. There's a lot there, and I'm not gonna start a a whole fight over this one. But you're absolutely correct. This is it's insane. Well, let me talk about something here. There's a couple things that you talked about in some of your reporting I thought was fascinating. You said that there was a text message on WhatsApp in Mexican Cartel is offering hits in Canada for $55,000. First of all, how did you find this? You don't have to give any sources, obviously, but how did you come about this? Yeah. Well, how did you come about this? And then exactly like what more did you learn about this? Because this would be interesting for the audience to hear.
So I've been looking into cartel recruitment since, I would say, like basically for exactly a year at this point. I've always found this really interesting. And when I was spending a lot of time in Jalisco, which is CJNG territory, I had heard rumors and seen some stuff on social media that kind of verified these rumors about how a lot of the cartels, particularly CJNG and Sinaloa, were using WhatsApp and Facebook to recruit people to the cartels. And, keep in mind, for me, I'm fucking 24 years old. I never even used Facebook, right? But then I decided I need to hop on Facebook, because how are they using this social media platform that typically young people aren't even using? Mistaken, because actually,
that's a little bit of a jab. Hold on, I'm gonna let that go. But
it's not a jab. No, it's only a jab if you take it that way. I'm gonna tell you right now, young people in Mexico are still using Facebook, okay? And for them, that's kind of their main form of social media. It's Facebook, it's WhatsApp, and it's TikTok. Instagram isn't really on the radar like that. I mean, most of them have it, they don't really use it. So there's a lot of group chats on Facebook that can lead you to legit and illegitimate high-paying jobs that for a lot of people, I understand, would not realize have to do with organized crime. And it's actually very sad, okay? Now, for a lot of other people, they know exactly what the fuck they're getting into, and through these Facebook links or TikTok pages are being led into a WhatsApp group chat, okay? Now, I have had so many people reach out, how do you get in? How do I get in? You know what? Listen, if that's really what you want to do, you can go figure that out for yourself. I do not recommend that. It's just, you don't want to be there, particularly if you're not actually trying to be recruited. I wouldn't recommend you getting into a group chat with a bunch of cartel operatives. trying to get you to join. It's like it's really giving the same thing as ISIS. There's a lot of documentaries about this, what it was like for a lot of people in England, for example, who were getting recruited into ISIS. We see that same thing going on right now in Mexico and in the United States, actually, because they're recruiting all over. Now, they're taking people in, and then through a sort of filter situation. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I did write about a little bit more on my Substack, but it's a little iffy, right? I don't want to burn any of these contacts. So you kind of get filtered through a process. You're in one group to another group. The amount of people starts to go down, and the level of operatives starts to go up. So you end up dealing with higher level cartel operatives by the time you've been vetted, essentially. From that point on, you get moved into Telegram or Signal, where you're being told of dollar amounts and payment methods to basically commit crimes. And so what I thought was interesting was in one of these group chats that I got into, it was the Jalisco cartel, and I saw an Alberta phone number, which is Canada, borders with Montana. Now, I clocked it right away because one of my first journalism jobs, I was working in Edmonton, Alberta at the CBC. And so when I saw that phone number, I was shook to my core, because you're telling me that someone in the prairie province of Canada is willing to work for the cartel. I could never reach that person, so I wouldn't know if they were Canadian, if they were Mexican, if they were a Mexican person who had been born and raised in Canada, or if they were a Mexican national. Of course, I would love to know that, because what is the demographic of people that are internationally being recruited by the cartel? It's crazy. From there, I got in touch with someone who was living in an area really close to where I'm from in Canada, the West Coast, and was offered $55,000 to take out hits on high-level gang operatives in Canada for the cartel. Because the cartels are not using Mexican nationals, are not using their operatives that are based in Canada to kill anyone. And I went through basically all the recent gang murders that have happened in recent years. I would say I went back to like 2020, right? In Canada, and really none of the people charged are Mexican nationals. Like, actually none of them. Typically they're Canadian. A lot of them are from the East Coast. They're from Quebec. They have French last names. They're Quebecois. And they're literally working with the cartel. A lot of them have spent a certain amount of time abroad, whether that be in Colombia or Mexico, just in any cartel heavy place where they were either trained or put in touch with, however you want to put it, the right or wrong person to make 55 grand to kill someone.
What's going on, y'all? I'm not sure if you know this, but Borderland Narcosis is sponsored by Phorm. Phorm is a wellness supplement company, and I've been with them for about 7 years, and I've been with them for that long because I truly believe in not just the product, but the people who own the company. They are a culture that just believes in your health. And so if you guys haven't tried it before, I would recommend you go and check out the Formula One Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Add a little bit of a ignition to that, and you'll have exactly what you need for your post-workout drink. This is something I've used for a very long time. When I'm in the best shape of my life, it's always been because I have a nice regimen of the Phorm products. So if you guys are interested, go check them out at firstform.com/Borderland. Okay, use our link. It is the number one stphorm.com/Borderland. And if you order over $75, you get free shipping. And if you're new to the site, you get a free app for 30 days. So go check it out. Again, thank you so much for all the support. See you soon. It was crazy to hear that in Canada. And then the message that you put out, you shared, included instructions about Glock acquisition, mag counts, ensuring that children weren't present. What does that tell you about the CJNG and like they're as they're evolving?
That they fucking know what they have to do to not get caught and to make sure that whatever hit they're taking out is as clean and professional as possible. It's like Hitman style, right? And the one of the cases that I included in that report, I actually remember it happening. I think I was actually still working as a reporter in Vancouver, where a South Asian gang member was shot execution style in downtown Vancouver, outside of a really nice restaurant by like on the waterfront.